So, a couple of days ago, I got on Facebook, and on the little news feed on the side, they had this story here. It was talking about the 29th anniversary of Northwest Airlines Flight 255 that happened on August 16th. And I've just been covering a little bit of these plane crashes. I don't know why I'm doing it. It's just been something I've been interested in here lately. And when I saw it, the 29th anniversary, I think that's what made me really click on it, was because I've been seeing 29 a whole lot. It seems to be connected to a whole lot of things going on in the media. There's a lot of stuff in regards to Louisiana. Louisiana's connected to France. France equals 29. I just made a video about Bow Wow retiring at the age of 29 and all kinds of 29 in that story. Also, I'm from Iowa, the 29th state. The only president from Iowa became president in 1929. I even live really close to Interstate 29 that goes through Iowa. Kind of interesting, but moral of the story, I think I just clicked on this story just because of the 29. And once again, a plane story that is super connected to the royal family and also a bunch of Masonic coding. This story also just so happens to be connected to the NBA Finals in 1988. It had an NBA player named Nick Vanos on it. He was a player for the Phoenix Suns, but this crash happened in Detroit, who made the NBA Finals and lost to the Lakers that year. But I'll get to that as we go on. I just want to show some of the coding here. So, basically, it happened on August 16th. And in other parts of the world, they write the date as 16/8, a lot like 168. If you write out Queen Elizabeth II in Gematria, it equals 168. It also happened in 1987. If you write out Queen Elizabeth II the small way, it equals 87. Also notice that it killed 156 people. 911 is the 156th prime. If you write out the word 33, it equals 156. 33, the highest degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. It was also the airline Northwest. If you write out Northwest, it equals 142 and also 43. If you write out the word Freemason, it equals 42. If you write out the word 42, it equals 142 and 43, just like the plane Northwest. Also, it was Flight 255, and if you write out 255, it equals 105. The word Masonry equals 105. The word Zionism equals 105. So all connected to Freemasons, also connected to the royal family. So there was actually only 155 people on the plane, but it ended up killing 2 people that were on the ground, and only 1 survivor on the plane of the 155 people, and it was a 4-year-old girl named Cecilia Chacon, or however you pronounce that. Interesting, her name in Gematria equals 58, just like the word Freemason. They also have the double C name, CC. C is the 3rd letter, so it would be 33. And she was 4 years old, and this is the 29th anniversary. So interesting, you know. She's 33 years old right now. It also happened in Romulus, Michigan, like Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, which I'll talk about here in a second. Romulus in Gematria equals 29. Just interesting that I would even look this up on the 29th anniversary. But Romulus and Remus founded Rome on April 21st. It says 753 BC here, but I've seen other places where it says it doesn't know for sure the year, but they know for a fact it's April 21st. And that day is just really interesting because Queen Elizabeth II was born on April 21st. King Henry VIII also became the king on April 21st. So Romulus is a suburb of Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan and Gematria equals 83 and also 155. So how interesting. We have a plane that has 155 people on board that crashes. Detroit, Michigan equals 155. Also, the coordinates are 42 degrees north, Freemason equals 42, and also 83. So interesting, Detroit, Michigan equals 83 the small way. The 155 people also reminds me a lot of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 that happened on January 15th, 2009. It was the one that they have the movie Sully coming out with Tom Hanks. That's what this film is, or the film is based off of this plane crash. But this one had 155 people on it as well, and they all survived. And I'm actually going to make a video on this one, hopefully next or maybe sometime tonight. Lots of interesting stuff in that story as well. I mean, even in regards to Freemasonry, Sully Sullenberger equals 74, like the word Masonic. It happens on 115, Scottish Rite Freemasonry equals 115. Tom Hanks equals 29 in Gematria in regards to the 29th anniversary of this one. The airport in this story then is called Detroit Metropolitan Airport, and in Gematria that equals 139, just like Freemasonry the big way. So one of the passengers was Nick Vanos, like I said, who was a center for the Phoenix Suns. And of course the flight was going from Detroit to Phoenix, but in Gematria, Phoenix equals 91, Detroit also equals 91, and throughout the past year, in regards to 91, I have been talking about how it seems to be connected to elimination and death. So how interesting, Phoenix and Detroit both equal 91. There's even a documentary on this airline called Soul Survivor, and it had the Soul Survivor, she was in it, Cecilia Chacon or whatever. But the movie, 91 minutes long. If you look up Nick Vanos, he wasn't a starter until the very end of the season, and the next year they talk about how he was most likely going to start starting and all of that. But he ended up starting the last 10 games of the season for the Suns, and they even had a record of 9-1 when he was a starter in them last 10 games. And I guess the reason that he was starting was because of the injuries of James Edwards and William Bedford. And then after he died, they even traded William Bedford to Detroit. I mean, come on, what are the odds of that? So Detroit makes the NBA Finals that year. It was the 42nd season of the NBA. The Lakers won a back-to-back championship that year. It was the first time that a team had been repeat champions since the Boston Celtics of 68 and 69. So if you go from his death to the beginning of the NBA season that year, it was a span of 82 days. Just sticks out to me in regards to the NBA regular season being 82 games. The plane that they were on was even called a McDonnell Douglas or an MD-82. On sportsreference.com, it even says that his weight was 255 pounds, and then he dies on flight 255. Who knows? Possibly a coincidence. Just found it kind of interesting. Vanos played a total of 68 NBA games before he died. Interesting because Detroit Pistons equals 68. He dies leaving Detroit on a plane. He also died 63 days after the 1987 NBA Finals. His name in Gematria equals 63. He was born in 1963. 63 days, also 2 months, 2 days. The word basketball equals 22. I also wanted to point out, and it might not be connected, but I found it interesting in regards to the 63s. So that the year after he died, the Lakers beat the Pistons in the finals. But that next year, the Pistons won the finals, and they finished the regular season with 63 regular season wins. The pilot in the story, they said, was a 57-year-old John R. Moss, and he had 31 years of experience. Basketball, with the S exception, also equals 31. He was 57 years old. The word Scottish Rite equals 57. If you write his name out how they said, John R. Moss, in the articles, that equals 38 and 119. The word Prince equals 38. Death equals 38. If you take out the middle initial, his name equals 29. John Moss, 29. It's the 29th anniversary this year. The only survivor, her last name equals 29. She's even married now to a guy with the last name of Crocker. So her name is literally Cecilia Chacon Crocker. That in Gematria equals 149. And she's the only survivor of the 149 passengers. Pretty interesting. Also CCC333. The first officer, or whatever, of the pilot was named David J. Dodds. That in Gematria equals 42 and 96, identical to the word Freemason. So, I barely even looked into this story, to be honest, but no doubt connected to the royal family, connected to the Freemasons. Also, I guarantee this guy, Nick Vanos, was a sacrifice for the Detroit Pistons just to be in the NBA Finals that year. He even died, if you include the end date, 4 months and 4 days after his 24th birthday. The word killed equals 44. He was a complete sacrifice. And I mean, I see it all the time, so whatever. Just wanted to talk about this story real quick. Have a good one.